Good afternoon. Certainly a pleasure for me to be here at my first, as Greg mentioned, my first media day since 2009. I think for me, it kind of signifies college football is back. We can now point our attention towards that. And for me, all of my attention is focused on our LSU football team. It's been quite an interesting 6-7 months as I embarked on this journey, which has been exciting for me. It started with, the right time at the right place. The timing was right for me. The place was perfect. We had an incredible president, President Tate, an athletic director that I had history with Scott Woodward, and a rich history and tradition with LSU football. And so for me, it was then taking on that great opportunity in front of me to be part of restoring championship quality football to LSU. Also, the chance to be part of this incredible conference, the SEC. The challenges that come with that. Playing the great schools. I've never been in many of the venues. I'll get an opportunity to play at Auburn this year. I'll get a chance to play at Kyle Field, in the Swamp. Those will be exciting opportunities, something that I've never experienced in my career of 32 years. So the challenges of being in the greatest conference in college football, as well as being at LSU, is I've been asked many times why, and I can tell you that certainly that shared vision of our administration, the great opportunity to restore championship level football to LSU, and then the SEC itself, and being part of this great conference.
When you took over Notre Dame in 2010, you had a new quarterback with Jimmy Claus, a new offensive line, and Notre Dame had some struggles out of the gate in September. Is there anything we can learn from that experience for LSU to be undefeated with Mississippi State, Florida State right out of the gate?
Well, now that you put it that way, I hope not. Certainly we have 4 quarterbacks, and the spring really was for us to lay down our offense. We weren't really going to gear it towards any particular skill set. So I think I feel much better about the depth in the quarterback situation. Dane was really the only quarterback that had any experience. We were young and inexperienced at that position. I think the depth at the quarterback position is much different. Jaden and certainly Miles bring us obviously starting experience. Garrett, obviously, for me, is an exciting quarterback. Walker's a true freshman, but there's great depth there. The offensive line is clearly an area that we need to keep our eye on, but I think we've added some really good transfers, and we think we've got some young men that have developed. So I would say that right now I stand in front of you that those similar situations, I like the depth and the opportunity to be much better than 2010.
It's been kind of documented, maybe LSU or the collective of NIL of LSU doesn't have as much funds as other schools. How do you overcome that? And have you run into a situation yet where maybe you were outbid for a player? And how do you overcome that?
First of all, I don't know that we don't have as many funds. Nobody has given me, any kind of documentation that we're behind. I feel very comfortable, quite honestly, as I stand here, talking to you, that, what we're doing relative to NIL is as competitive as anybody else. I don't feel like we're being outbid by anybody. I don't think that's the place of NIL anyway. So if we were being outbid, then we're going to be outbid if we have $50 million in our collective. So I don't feel hamstrung by that. I want to continue to educate with NIL. I want to be able to use the resources wisely to help promote name, image, and likeness, and have that available for our student athletes when the time comes.
The two transfers from Arkansas, Fouché and Brooks, how you feel like they might fit in?
Well, let me address Fouché and Brooks. They have been outstanding additions to our program. I know many don't like to see that happen within the league, and I'm not crazy about it either. But these are two Louisiana kids that wanted to play at LSU, and they have been great additions. Character, you know, I would say that, you know, when we were looking into the transfer portal, we wanted young men that had SEC experience and had ties to the state of Louisiana, and Brooks and Fouché fit that to the T. And I think the secondary has a number of players that I think went out and recruited either through the portal or that were in the program. That give us great depth, but they're going to have to go out and prove it. And I think that's an area that is going to have to come together for us, but we think we have depth and we think we have some talent there.
Most important question of the day. In your best Southern accent, what's the favorite or best food you've had since you moved to Louisiana?
Well, understand now, I have a Boston, Midwestern, Louisiana accent now. So, you know, it's 3 dialects into one. So it's no longer family. I got like all kinds of stuff to throw at you. So just be ready. The best, you know, it's probably the crawfish etouffee is I mean, I don't know how you top that. Now, I would say also the grilled oysters. If you haven't had grilled oysters, try that. That'll get your cholesterol level up really high quickly. That's pretty good too.
The SEC has really turned into the club that everyone's trying to get into, it seems. So from your perspective, as someone that's on the inside, seeing all these other teams that are trying to get on the inside, can you describe what that's like?
Musical chairs, and then the music's going to stop here, and you're not going to have a place at the table. And I think that's scary for a lot of universities, and you know, it's left a lot of internal conversations about, you know, where do we go? And so I understand that, right? You know, there was the question about Notre Dame. What do they do, right? You know, maybe they're better positioned than some, but yeah, it's musical chairs, and there's not enough chairs for everybody. So, and that's the current state of college football. And then as it relates to the quarterbacks, it's kind of similar to what I said to you, to a number that have asked about the quarterback situation, is that we're really going to have to set the offensive structure in its installation to the skill set of the particular players. Because number one, they got to take care of the football. Number two, they got to get the ball to playmakers. I've got playmakers on offense that are already in place. So they've got to get the ball to the playmakers. And number three, you know, they've got to make plays, you know, that quarterback. So the ultimate decision-making on who that quarterback is, well, he'll have to hit those 3 notes. And I think all of those guys can do that. We'll have to put them in that position so we can evaluate that.
With your national recruiting, how do you balance locking down the state of Louisiana with the great players and balancing with other states that you've recruited out of Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, you know, making sure that you evaluate the entire state of Louisiana. And I think that means, you know, make sure you extend yourself. It's not just New Orleans and the greater Baton Rouge area. You got to get up north. You know, you got to get all the way up through Shreveport. You got to get up to Monroe. You got to get up all into the state of Louisiana. Now, that doesn't mean you just take a kid from Louisiana because he's from Louisiana. If he's not rated as high, then can you go out of state? Sure. But you better know the players in the state of Louisiana. And that means the entire state. And I think that's maybe where, you know, if I've gotten any feedback, you know, that maybe we needed to extend our recruiting efforts a little bit further north. And I think we've done that.
Coach, we're